Hey, what's up, guys? BR here with a quick PSA intro to this episode. So, I'm not on this one, but I just wanted to give a quick heads up for anyone listening to this. Obviously, you should be able to guess from the title that this is a bit more of a serious episode. So, the first 15 minutes or so, there's a lighter feel to it, but then we get into some pretty heavy stuff talking about a real incident one of our listeners experienced being in a self-defense shooting and taking someone's life. And they get into some of the details on that. And so, obviously, if you're coming to Art and War for just, light chuckles and the general kind of ridiculousness that we put out every week, there's a little bit of that at the start. But if you're just looking for purely getting your jollies in, this is probably less that episode. So, just a quick heads up, our listeners come from all sorts of different walks of life. Some people, they're not trying to listen to a conversation that's super serious or potentially, going to take them to a darker place. So, if that's stuff that you're more sensitive about, just know that's what this episode's about. You're all adults, do your thing, but just a quick little heads up in case that's not what you're looking for this week. Anyway, we're going to get into it. Thank you guys for listening, and let's get on with the episode.
Allowed to play like Call of Duty or other stuff like that where it's killing other people.
Yeah. Which
I was allowed to play Halo and everything else like OG Combat Evolved.
Yeah, you're not killing people.
Yeah, because I was killing aliens, and I quote, this is from my mom, who we already talked about as an interesting and amazing woman. If they're not made in God's image, they don't have a soul.
Oh, that's fire. That is an
funny.
absolute fire quote.
You're listening to the Art and More podcast with your hosts, Nathan and BR. Nathan is a Canadian illustrator with a couple years of military experience, and BR is a British anarchist that moved to the States. Both are passionate shooters and community builders. Together, they run the Seaburn art page. Enjoy the show.
No, that countdown was redundant. Hello everyone, we're cold opening and I'm really good at this. I'm drinking alcohol for the first time in a minute. Booze is degenerate, don't do that. Welcome back to the Art and War podcast. I'm here with our co-host, Alcoholic.
Hello.
And, gosh, what do we call you today? Alaskan? Cryptid? Alaskan? I don't know. You're my friend who has fun stories and not so fun stories that's here to share them with you and just kind of shoot the shit for a couple hours.
Yeah, we can just Cryptid or Alcoholic. They're pretty much interchangeable.
I mean, we already have one alcoholic.
True.
So
I meant to say
The
Alaskan,
one guy
but
who is not drinking.
I meant to say Alaskan, but Alaskan and Alcoholic go hand in hand.
I was going to say, you're half Japanese and you're on your second PBR, and like PBR 3, you're going to join the Yakuza or something.
Since you're also half Asian, what's the funniest slur for another Asian your mom's ever used?
Funniest slur that my mom has said?
Yeah.
That's hard because she doesn't usually use slurs, but she's incredibly racist. For someone who's like upper middle class liberal woman from the city who like moved here from being a peasant, she will say some really funny fucking off the cuff things. And I think the last thing, like the moment I'm like, oh wow, you are not what you say you are, was I was like going to the rough area of town to run an errand. It was like DMV or something like that. And she goes like, you really have to be careful. There's a lot of the dark people there. And and like what I think that's the moment I started noticing, if that makes any sense. And
the dark people makes it sound like some horror game villain. Or
actually, you'd figure like it's like the shadow men are coming. It's like no, they're just poor and black. But yeah, no, incredibly racist. The time I went to Hong Kong, she really didn't like that. I think there's no people group that she hates more than different kinds of Asians. But like being in a predominantly white city until very recently, now it's predominantly Indian city. She kind of was forced to make friends with all the races she didn't like. So my like social group growing up was very diverse, and by diverse I mean like different kinds of slant. if that makes any sense. Like,
Yeah.
that there's a slur. There's a fun slur. I like that one. It's old. Yeah.
My mom's of Japanese descent,
Yeah.
and if anyone else knows anything about Asians, the Japanese, like, our Asians are already, like, instead of casual racism, it's fucking competitive racism.
Oh, especially when it comes to the Japanese. I feel
But
like
if you
every race
every
of Asian,
one of them hates the Japanese,
holy
but
shit,
none of them hate the Japanese near as much as the Japanese hate them.
I believe that.
No,
Like, I 100%.
Japanese is fucking. They are like gold tier, platinum 3, double prestige Call of Duty level.
I think triple S
racism.
ranked would be the Japanese term.
My mom and I love my mom. My mom, upper middle class, grew up military brat, like U.S. Army brat. But my mom also has like 3 different master's degrees and is currently a middle school teacher.
This tracks. All of this tracks.
But she's not very liberal. My mom very much impressed upon me and my older brother when we were young. Be free thinkers, be hard workers. But she's not even conservative. She's a hardcore, like, true libertarian, like Ron Paul level libertarian. And we were talking about something. I mentioned that one of the tire brands at a shop I used to work at was Hankook, and she's like, "Hankook, what country are they from?" I was like, "Oh, they're Korean." And without skipping a beat, she's just like, "Oh yeah, the shovel-faced Chinese Nigerians."
Oh my god, your mom is just Negaverse version of my mom. At least my mom tries to hide it. She's
But
just
my
like,
mom is also just like, my wife will tell you, because she's in the server. My mom is just the kindest, most wonderful person ever. But sometimes it's like the Green Goblin mask slips out.
She's like, say it.
I love it. Like the whispering. Your mom doesn't try and hide it at all. At least my mom will be like she'll just make a face and like there's a bad smell under her nose and she'll be like, "Oh, well, I don't know why you'd want to associate with them. I don't know why you'd go there." But
Oh god,
she
my
wouldn't
mom
straight. I think I'd
perfectly.
like it more if my mom was like those shovel faced zipper head chinks. Like I think that would be so much funnier.
What's even better is my mom, like, so she teaches middle schoolers, so it's a lot
Yeah.
of like the really young Zoomers and like beginning of like Gen Alpha. So
Yeah.
they've got like all their stupid brain rot slang.
Oh,
My mom learned all of their slang perfectly just to upset them.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Like, my mom also used to just yell at me and my brother to get out of the house when it was like 20 below. Like, we still had all of our, proper winter clothes growing up in Alaska, but it was like, just go away.
Yeah.
And it got to the point that someone there was like, "Did your parents lock you out?" No, we just wanted to be outside because we were annoying mom and she was going to kill us.
Yeah.
What's 17 more years? I can always start again. Did she make you learn how to play the piano too?
She did. I am actually classically trained. This hasn't really come up in the show before, but I'm like a classically trained pianist. Like I've got my paperwork and certs. I've played like small concerts and shit. In front of 4,000 people once, I guess. But like that's pretty young. Yeah.
I
How about you?
did have to learn piano, learned how to play flute and
Oh, geez.
drums.
Yeah, very musical.
I now refuse to touch a musical instrument, partially because of the push to make me learn how to play music. Also, shitty band teachers all throughout school, because there's a reason Alaska's at like, we're down with like
I was going
Oklahoma
to say,
for lowest education standards.
I was going to say Alaska doesn't exactly have the best reputation around that. I absolutely understand that. And I think a bit of that, and probably a lot of the people listening, and I don't know if you are one of these people, but we probably have a little bit of off-positional defiance disorder going on. Maybe just a skosh, a touch. That or just like the autism makes it that way.
Probably. I didn't get the smartism though. I got like the mechanictism.
I mean, that's a form of smartism.
I was
think
gonna say, yeah, that's
that
its
is
own form of
literally a
smart.
smartism.
Like I have this weird thing. Like I can visualize inside my head in a perfect 3D model how everything inside of a car works.
Well, like unfolding 3D diagrams and like knowing how things work and go together is like one of the baseline standards for intelligence. Like that is something that they test for. Don't know if it's on the ASVAB even, but like I remember doing the like both just IQ tests and like the Canadian military exam and a whole bunch of things like that.
You want to hear a funny ASVAB story?
Yes.
So much like many people,
Yes.
you know, we're about the same age, if I remember right.
Yeah, more or less.
So you remember like seeing some stuff in like 2012, 2013, back when
Yep.
they were doing like for the US military, they did the 18 X-ray contracts, which
Yep.
was like the direct pipeline to special forces.
Yeah.
So I went in and I think you had to have like a 110 or something to qualify for that.
Yeah.
And I went in and I got a 138.
Well, that makes sense if
But
you
here's
are good at unfolding shapes in your mind. Sorry,
Oh yeah,
can
but here's the funniest thing too. I was going for Army, and he's just like, "Well, what the fuck, a 138? I've never seen a score that high." Like he was a pretty young recruiter,
Yeah.
and the recruiting office in my town,
Yeah.
all of them are in the same office.
Huh.
Like there's little cubicles, and before he can even finish up, like, yeah, you absolutely qualify. The Air Force recruiter grabs the back of my chair because I was in one of those wheeled office chairs and
Yeah.
drags me out of the Army recruiter's office over to his. He's like, "Hey, son, you ever heard of Spec War?" I was like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "This is way before fucking He Who Shall Not Be Named. It's like got everyone interested in Air Force Special Forces."
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Iraq veteran 8888.
Yes.
Basically, yeah. But
I wonder how that
no,
guy's
he was
doing.
telling me all about like PJs and stuff, and I was all on board. But unfortunately, I also, in addition to being autistic, had a love of going fast
Yeah.
on absolute piss missiles of dirt bikes. And I have multiple joint replacements and rods and plates throughout my body.
Ooh.
So as soon as they got my medical stuff, they're like, "Yeah, never mind, you can't join."
Yeah,
Nano
that
machines.
F.
Which I mean, I'm glad I didn't now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's just a funny little story of like being like, "Hey son, you ever heard of the Army? Yeah. Too bad, you're too smart. Go see the Air Force guy."
Yeah, F. I mean, still, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to know you're at least not retarded. Like you're not.
I'm still retarded. I'm just not stupid retarded.
Yes. You. I think you are second place for everyone that I know on their RAADS score.
Yeah, I think there might be someone who's a 220 or 221 as well.
Yeah, Loveless.
Yeah. Loveless is
But
223.
Yeah, I'm 222.
Yeah. So you're second place by a fucking hair.
Yeah.
And you're married with a kid, so clearly if you can do it.
Oh, dude, I love my wife, and she is the most amazing person in the world. I don't know how she puts up with my bullshit.
Has she done the RAADS test too?
No, not yet.
God, please
But
get her to do it after this show, and then text me the results. I'm curious.
I will.
Like most of the
I
couples
do know
that I've
she
seen
is ADD.
She ends up being the highest score. We're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
I've got a working theory. It seems that like every couple that I know, that like one person scores really high, the other person either scores super low or like scores within 10 points of them.
Yeah.
There's no.
So
I mean,
the
we don't
key to
even have to
happiness
RAADS
is
test my
finding an
kid.
autistic girlfriend.
I don't even have to RAADS test my kid either. We actually have a diagnosis. So
Oh shit, fuck me.
yeah, very high functioning, very smart.
Yes, that's good. Just get him into trains really early, and you're laughing.
Oh, pretty much. So, shall we just rip off the Band-Aid of why I'm here?
Yes.
So, there's no other pretty way to put this. I've got a CONUS notch on my kill tab, which is
I'm avoiding
one.
Like how gallows humor can I be with this? Like it's a really serious thing, and I want you to come and talk to this because, like, again, the bloodlust thing. I don't want young people to be like, hell yeah, murder. Like, hell yeah, I want a CONUS kill. Like, we can joke about it all day, but it's actually a really fucked up thing.
No,
And
this is not a funny haha. Like, this is a cautionary tale.
Yes.
Especially for a lot of you younger guys. This is honestly going to be like this. This is going to get pretty messy and pretty dark.
Of course.
So, gallows humor. Yeah, I've got a CONUS notch.
Yeah.
Reality is, I had the worst day of my life almost 10 years ago. And it's taken me a long time to actually be comfortable really talking about it. And I still really don't talk about it because it's not something that ever really comes up in everyday conversation.
Yeah.
But about 10 years ago, I was living in another state. And I got into a situation. I tried my best to talk my way out of it, to de-escalate, and I ended up having to pull my gun.
Can we talk about what happened?
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about what state it was or anything, like anything that's not relevant.
Just as much as you're comfortable to say.
Yeah. I would like people to know, because you tried to de-escalate in a way that you really were backed into a corner.
Yeah. So I will say it was in the South, in a very, very large city. Which doesn't really narrow that down either. But I was out on a date with a girl at the time, not my wife. This was long before my wife ever came in the picture.
Yeah.
We had gone out, it's a city with walking distance stuff, and we were going out to go get dinner, go get a burger, and it started to get pretty late, and we decided to start walking home, and we ended up having a guy come out from between a couple buildings and mug us, and I was just like, just told the girl at the time, it's like, hey, just give him your purse. Well, it's just money. It's nothing worth dying over. I gave him my wallet, but unfortunately, he wanted more than that, and he was threatening to forced tickle the woman I was with. And at that moment, I learned I don't have a flight response. It was a fight response. And struggle ensued. He had a knife. I've actually got a really nasty scar. I'm lucky that I didn't bleed out from it.
Yeah. You mentioned you spent a little bit of time in the hospital afterwards.
Yep, I spent a little bit of time in the hospital, but
by a little bit of time, like a couple of weeks or a month.
It was a few days.
Okay, I misremembered. That's my mistake.
Yeah, no, I did spend a few days in jail after that.
Really?
Going through it. Yep, that's another thing that needs to be brought up.
Yes,
you will be put in handcuffs. If you get into this situation and you kill somebody, you will be put in handcuffs.
Yeah, that genuinely surprises me, especially with how long you spent in the hospital. And then afterwards, in the state that you were in, which I will not name. But a red state is all I'll say.
It's a purple state. It's not a red state.
Yeah, what everyone thinks of when you say a red state. Definitely a blue city, though.
Yeah, but I ended up drawing my gun, and we ended up getting into it felt like a long struggle. It was pretty quick, violent, and over. But I ended up putting 14 rounds into someone's 17-year-old son.
I'm sorry.
We had cops thankfully showed up pretty quickly because I'll be honest, this was a pretty rough area
Yeah.
of this large city. And it, in the end, I was exonerated. All charges were dropped because
Did they formally charge you at all, or did they just keep you?
I was held and they had formally charged me, but during their investigation, they found that it was a good and legal shoot, and I got cleared. I lost my gun from it.
Did you ever get it back?
I did not. I actually, so kind of interesting point, and we'll touch a little bit more on this later in the topics because I sent you the list of topics I want to cover during this.
Yeah.
I didn't touch a Glock for 4 years. I wouldn't touch a Glock. I wouldn't look at a Glock because at the time I was carrying a 19.
Yeah.
And it brought back a lot of really horrible memories. Just seeing another Glock. It just,
You didn't want the reminder.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to get over that.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of good lessons from it. And if some people get in this situation, they'll never touch another gun in their life.
Yeah. I've heard that before as well.
But from the earlier autism ranting, I don't have that problem, I guess. I don't blame people who do. I completely understand it. I just was able to compartmentalize pretty quickly and bring it up. I mean, it's not a pleasant subject to talk about, but evil exists in this world, and if good men do nothing, evil will triumph.
Yes. I genuinely think in the situation you were in, and especially like if you have to take your life in the defense of yourself or others, like a loved one, even a stranger, like it is both morally justified and like I don't want to throw around words like righteous, but in this case, it's like
I don't think even with what happened, I don't consider what I did righteous.
No.
I consider it a necessity.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned earlier before we started recording, the reality is sometimes you got to get evil. You got to be ready to do bad shit.
Yes.
And a lot of things in movies or a lot of media, it's like, oh, one shot and it's over. It's not. It is never one shot and it's over.
Yeah.
It is horrifying and violent and messy, and it takes such an unbelievable toll on your mental health.
Yeah. It's nothing to be glamorized. I don't
know. We're not. I'm not here to glamorize this. I'm here to speak the truth and make people realize how horrific this is.
Yeah. And it's obvious that it is something that made you suffer. Like it's very obvious that this was a traumatic experience. Like what was your road to recovery like after the fact?
I'll be honest. I should have went to therapy.
Yeah.
And anyone who gets in this situation, go to therapy.
Yeah.
You will not be seen as weak from this.
Yeah.
From something like this. You need to go to therapy. I unfortunately developed several very, very bad habits.
Do you mind if I ask?
Yeah, go ahead. One of them very clearly, I was drinking earlier, but that's probably all I'll drink for the next 6 months. Like, I became a pretty hardcore alcoholic.
Yeah. I mean, all things considered, I understand
that. I developed a porn addiction. That was another thing. Like that's an
dopamine.
But, my dopamine and my serotonin receptors were just all kinds of fucked up from everything that happened, and I needed some thought I needed some way to get over it. And,
Finding a way just to fill your brain with other things to hopefully just forget and
Yeah.
feel temporary pleasure, I guess.
yeah, any kind of pleasure, any kind of anything. I became a shut-in. I didn't go out and do anything. Like it, I pretty much disappeared for a lot of people's lives during my road to recovery. And one of the other things on top of a porn addiction is and on top of being a heavy drinker, I was going out to bars and I was trying to get with every woman I could find.
Yeah. Again, dopamine. It makes sense.
Yeah. Just some kind of, because one of the things is that girl that I was with, she left during all of that when I needed somebody. Like, just
I'm
gone.
sorry. That is fucked up.
Well, if she left during something like that, she wasn't the one.
Yeah.
But that it really screwed up a lot of my worldviews on everything too.
Like, how do you
Like,
mean?
not to be like, oh, haha, I'm a racist, but like I have my biases. Like, and what happened confirmed a lot of my biases, so I now have a confirmation bias with people of certain races now.
Yeah, like
because I've seen it once before, and now I see it with everything.
yeah, you can't deprogram it.
It is an unfortunate fact of how the human brain is wired.
Yeah.
But and we'll get into some of the some of the questions that a lot of people would rather hear more about than this, but we need to get the real meat of this out of the way before we can get to anything else. What else did you want to know?
Like, I want to know how you like started the road to recovery. I know you had a few dark years after that. Like, what made you start to think about like, hey, maybe I can get through this? Like, getting back into a healthy relationship.
And with that, what would be actual tips that if someone got into a similar situation that you would give to them?
Yes.
In terms of
my thing
recovery.
Was, I met my wife. That was the biggest thing.
Yes.
Like, I know it's
cool
sappy and cheesy as that sounds, but I met my wife, and she is.
I don't think that's cheesy
wonderful
at all.
And incredible human beings in the world.
Yeah, I don't think
she won't believe it, but she really is. Like, I was starting to get to the end of everything at that point, like a real mouthfeel, not
not like haha,
not like haha funny memes.
Yeah, no, I was getting pretty close to that point before I met my wife.
I mean, we're glad it didn't come to that. We're glad to have you around.
Yeah. Not just meeting my wife, but becoming a father, giving me something to live for. I've got a 5-year-old son, and he is just the best and greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And honestly, it took me 4 years before I even talked about this with my wife. Like, my family doesn't even know about this.
Really?
Like, I can't say my family doesn't. My parents don't know about this. My older brother does, but me and him aren't. We're not talking for separate reasons. Because unfortunately, my family dynamic with my older brother is pretty rough. But it's always been pretty rough. We've got an 8-year age difference. So we basically had 2 different upbringings.
Like, I won't push that too hard because that's like a little off topic, but I'm curious. Yeah, it's its own thing.
We've had high points and low points with my brother and I, but I'll put it this way: I refer to his wife as his wife and not my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the age gap could do that, but yeah.
The
I mean,
age gap
I
is
have
a
a
pretty big thing.
yeah. I mean, the age gap between my brother and myself is 5 or 6 years, but he's fantastic. Me and him get along super well. Um,
Uh,
but
Another thing with me and my brother is he's pretty neurotypical.
okay,
He's a normie gun guy. He's who really got me into guns. But you know, he's still kind of stuck in that 2.0.
he'd buy the Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. He is also who taught me to buy quality,
Okay,
but he's got like a bunch of different stuff. He's got a Scar 17. He's got a bunch of long action magnums.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It's Gucci Gucci.
Uh, he's he's been oil filled for a long time. He's got that money.
Yeah.
so he's got some of the cool stuff, but maybe just training and stuff, or
In terms of shooting, I blow him out of the water. In terms of gear quality, I can't hold a candle.
Yeah.
which clearly shows that gear doesn't really matter to them.
Yeah.
No.
But
My Rob Epiphania is shooting GM with like a Turkish knockoff Beretta.
or the guy you mentioned, also a Beretta.
Yep.
Before.
Yeah. Yep.
It's all the time that you put into it. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you talking about that because like that's. What do you think about stuff like USCCA and like the silly insurance things? I know that like you had an opinion on them. It's up to you if you want to bring it up again or not.
I think a lot of their stuff is just like clickbait or reaction bait. I think there might be something to it, like if it's in some cases ruled not a good shoot,
Yeah.
they might help, but I think realistically, um, one of your guys' sponsors is probably a little bit better than USCCA.
I do think it was a little bit better than USC's. I did actually retain their services for about a year until I moved somewhere where I'm a little less worried about getting fucked by the big dick of the law if I have to waste someone.
Yeah. I live in a state where it's a constitutional carry.
Yes.
And stand your ground, so it's
a little better.
Thankfully, that's another good thing about the culture changing enough, where the culture has changed to a point.
Yeah. Stand your ground and constitutional carry when you did the shooting were more or less non-existent, and now it's the norm. Like it's over half the states.
Yeah.
I was just looking at this chat. Sorry, I was playing
you're
with
okay.
my silencer.
You're all good.
Yeah, I could hear it. It sounded like you were clipping your nails.
Nope, that's just the lock collar on a
You've got
Surefire
the ears
can.
for it. The autism ears pricked up, and Nathan's like,
The
Instead of
tism.
OCM 5.
I've been weirdly like suppressors haven't really been a big tism for me. I just like I like them. I want to know more about them, but they're like despite having worked for like 6 different suppressor companies at this point, I know fuck all about cans other than like Otter Creek Good, I guess.
I have a Surefire, and that's just because I am not nice to my guns.
Yeah. I feel that. Like Surefire seems to be like a pretty good one and done solution. But gun autism, I don't know.
Yeah, we should.
I do hope that silly thing, and we're going to do an episode about it tomorrow. But by the time this one comes out, that episode probably will already have aired about the Hearing Protection Act with Ben Sanderson from the GOA. So this me talking about it here will probably be a retrospective. I think that one's supposed to come out on Sunday.
We could probably circle back to that, but we should probably stay at the topic in hand. So it's like someone's like really
let's focus on
yes.
Let's focus on what actually we're here for.
Yes, yeah. I agree.
What were some of the topics you felt a need that you should bring up?
Here, one of the things that I want to bring up is like coping mechanisms, which we did cover a little bit, and there are a lot of unhealthy ones. But there's no other way around it, really. Like, you're going to need to find a coping mechanism, but you
Yeah.
need to find a good, healthy, and constructive one.
Not something that's self-destructive like all the ones that you
That I went
unfortunately
through.
fell into.
Yeah. Find a group of friends that you can talk to who will, actually stick by you through something like this. I had to go through this completely by myself,
Mm.
and
You had no one to bounce any thoughts really
yeah,
back onto. And so then you're
yeah.
just in your own head constantly.
That there was a lot of time where I thought, like, was it really a good shoot? Did I really do the right thing?
Which objectively it definitely was.
Yeah.
But when you're in your own head, you can start just going to the extremes of, well, maybe it wasn't, or maybe this was bad, or maybe that was bad, because you have no one else to bounce stuff off.
Yep. And you know, another thing that I really want to talk about, and this ties into that bloodlust thing. So many of us, we get into seeing, like, a lot of the young guys, we see, John Wick, and it's, super clinical, precise, and all that.
Mm.
Using a gun in self defense is one of the most god awful, messy things.
Yeah.
It's not every shoot would be like mine necessarily, but with what happened with me and everything, there was a lot of contact shots.
Yeah.
Like, because this was not an on your feet thing. It was a pretty good, actual fight.
I mean,
During
as you
all of
mentioned, you've
this,
still got a scar from the fight, and it was 10 years ago, wasn't it?
yeah, I've got a nasty scar on the inside of my thigh where I almost got my femoral artery cut.
Yeah.
Like, I almost bled out from this.
But I think it's the thing of not even the shoot itself. Like as you said, it will be different. Someone might actually have something where it's only a couple shots and there's not really that much of a tussle or whatever. But it's
Yeah,
more the bloodlust part that you were talking about, where
like,
it's that there shouldn't it shouldn't be a thing really. Um,
it's horrific watching the light fade
hmm.
from someone's eyes.
I think
It,
there's yeah. Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah.
it just, with what happened with me, it was a very, very, like, trigger warning. This was an unbelievable amount of blood
Hmm.
and bone and literal shit flying during this.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately actually had to pretty much take half of this kid's head off during this to get him to stop trying to kill me.
Hmm.
And it's doesn't bother me like I used to, but sometimes I still, I still see those last moments.
I think that's just very human. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you can be faulted for that. If anything, it just shows that you're not some like malformed psychopath or like antisocial personality disorder. Like, this isn't something that we should be used to.
No, it's not cool or something like the bloodlust kind of thing. It's not cool to be like, yeah, I'd be desensitized to that. I wouldn't really care. Like, that's not cool. That's just, you're messed up in the head if that wouldn't
Yeah.
somehow
Like,
have an effect on you.
I brought this up in an episode not too long ago. There's a book called On Killing by Lieutenant. I'm American now. Colonel Dave Grossman,
Mm.
and it talks about the psychology of like taking another human life, like the psychology of having to do violence. And there's a lot of like rebuttals. Some people say it's been debunked, some people don't. I don't work in this field. I did a couple years of bullshit psychology stuff in college. I don't know fuck about fuck. But more or less what he was saying is like humans are programmed to not want to kill each other. Like when we do that, that is something that is innately we are psychologically conditioned to abhor. Like that is like a bad fucking action. So when it happens, it's going to mess us up. And there's only so many ways you can kind of like anesthetize yourself to it. But he goes and he like recreates situations. For example, and I brought this up on an episode. Like he takes a bunch of martial artists in a dojo, and he has them like he has either actors or like other participants in the dojo, and he just tapes oranges over their eyes. So it's already the most like obnoxious. Like, oh, that like visibly that's just oranges. Like you can tell what you're doing isn't real. And then you had to go and you take your sparring partner. You have to gouge his eyes out with your thumbs, and like you're just scooping the guts out of these oranges. Like you're just doing something that's already so far removed from reality. But they are told to react and struggle and flail like you are doing it for real. And just the action of doing the like mock doing this horrific violent action made so many of the participants genuinely physically ill. Like some people didn't come back; they were traumatized from the experience. Like it, like doing the act of physical violence to another human being in a way that like we are programmed to not want to do it, like be it evolutionary psychology or otherwise. um yeah, it would fuck you up because like it goes against a lot of our like base neural programming. Are there people that don't have these compunctions? Yes, according to Mr. Grossman, apparently 1 in 10 people are a lot less hesitant to do violence towards other people and may even sleep like a baby afterwards. But for most people, no, it's inherently like I don't want to use that word antisocial, but like it goes against a lot of our base programming. And whether this is true or not, I have no fucking idea. But I
Well,
think there's something to it.
Yeah.
that kind of touches on another point I wanted to bring up,
Yeah.
And this goes for a lot of not just like the normies in general, but a lot of people in our community is there's no shame in this, but not everyone's going to be capable
Yes.
of performing this kind of violence.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. There is no shame if you get to that situation and you run away.
Yeah.
Honestly, you should run away. There is no shame. But there's just, I wouldn't say it's quite 1 in 10, but I'm willing to bet probably, you know, 6 or 7 out of 10 people, if it comes down to that, they're just not going to be able to.
Yeah. I believe it.
It's, as I've said before, like, and once again, this isn't like evil in the sense of, actual evil, but not everyone's going to be able to get evil.
Yeah.
And I know that's such a weird way of putting it, and it sounds so cliche, but it's the reality.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think it's just part of what makes us human. Like do I want everyone to like be responsible for their health and the safety and health of their loved ones? Yes, I do. Do I think that everyone should become a stone cold killing machine and be ready to go into a room and have a plan to kill everyone you meet? No, I also don't, and I do think the act of killing is like it's not something we should look forward to, and it's something that will probably fuck you up for the rest of your life. That's not even a probably, like it is. It's a definitely.
Yeah, it absolutely has.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for kind of cutting in there, but no,
No, you're totally okay.
It is 100% going to, unless you are like Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
You are not going to come out of this okay.
Yeah. Or that.
I know I'm still not fully okay.
Yeah.
And it's been years since then. Have I come a long way? Yeah, but my problem is that I'm not afraid of it now. I almost feel like I'm desensitized to it.
Yeah. Like how do you mean desensitized? If you don't mind me asking.
Like my wife sometimes has to like actually, if we're out in public and someone starts to get a little confrontational, she actually is like, "Hey, stop!
Yeah.
You need to back up. You don't need to do this. You do not. Take a step back, take a breath, calm down. Not every situation requires violence."
Can I make a bad joke?
Absolutely.
What if he's driving a Cybertruck?
Well, that's not a human being.
Man, a guy pulled up to me in an olive drab, like a plastidiped olive drab Cybertruck, and it took me everything I had not to just mag dump through his window.
Yeah.
What? Why are Cybertrucks like? Why do there? It's already a heinously hideous vehicle, and it's already a huge attention magnet. Why do they need to make like draw more attention to themselves?
That's a great question. Genuinely, like, funny enough, he looked exactly like. Why do they always look like that?
Oh my god, there's one up here. Like, on one hand, it's cool because of what the wrap is. The problem is it's on a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
But he's got it wrapped like a P-51 Mustang.
Fucking what?
Like,
you know, like I'm very open to like if Green Cybertruck Man is a listener of the show and he hears me and he's just like, "Aw, Nathan, like I'm pretty normal. Like I'm not actually," because he didn't cut me off or anything. I just saw the Green Cybertruck and immediately got like the the reaction that you get when you see baby vomit. He might have been the nicest guy in the world, in which case I just take it back. But like my experience has just been so bad that maybe I'll get into my own self-defense of shooting with one.
I remember old Elon said they were bulletproof when he revealed it however many years ago.
The big caveat to that is it's only bulletproof if the rounds are subsonic. So like literally 115 grain 9mm will zip through that thing like fucking putty.
So by technicality, it's bulletproof, but
technicality, it's bulletproof. You're using 380 or something. Like, yeah, it's bulletproof. Like, it's not going fast enough. But that shit, if that shit breaks the sound barrier, no, bud, that thing is not bulletproof anymore.
Just don't use the Lord's caliber on it.
Yeah, I actually don't remember. I think like 40. It did stop 45, maybe. I can't remember. No, I don't know because that carried a lot of mass. Someone did a test, and it's like most of the supersonic calibers went right through it. 9mm definitely did. But yeah, we're getting off topic. We're getting off topic. No more Cybertruck hate.
Save it for another episode.
Yes, they're people too, barely.
But I mean, I also had some like, I guess some things that some of the more autistic people, I guess, who don't really fully take in the early thing that I'm sure we'll have questions about that I'll answer too. But like, there's some definite lessons I learned too.
Yeah.
On the gear side of things, funny enough.
Elaborate.
Don't run any of the Hornady XTP.
The critical defense?
Hollow points.
You are not the first person to tell me that.
I was running their 135s and they did not do shit.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why I run 124 plus P Federals now.
Yeah. Well, like, random little bit of trivia, Spear, like CCI Spear took over Federal's old ammunition producing capacity. So you're getting CCI. I mean, allegedly. I don't actually know this for sure. I just kind of have this verbatim. You're getting CCI QC stuff if you buy Federal. Maybe.
I remember you also mentioning to me once about lights on your gun as well, Alaskan.
Yes, that is a huge thing. So I know, Nathan, you like your TLR7s, and I know a lot of
I do. I keep the extended bezel on it as for a standoff device.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to touch on.
Yeah.
I am a very big proponent with, as you see, I'm very outspoken on your EDC gun. You should be running a full size light.
Yeah.
If you have the capability, you should run a full-size light, because if you get into a situation like I did, where you're having to make contact shots, I had to do multiple times, re-rack, like a couple times having to re-rack my slide,
Yeah.
because when I was trying to use my gun to get him off of me, I'd have a dead trigger,
Yeah. Fuck,
and
man.
that is honestly the scariest thing in the world.
Yeah. I
Um, and that's why, like, on my personal gun,
yeah.
I have an X300. I don't care about how uncomfortable it is. I care about if I ever have to be in that situation again, I want to be able to push this person off of me. And if I have to pull the trigger, I'm not going to have a click.
Yeah. No, I understand that. There's a guy local to me who's like, oh, revolver, because you don't need a standoff devices with a revolver. It's like you shot this guy 14
14
times.
times, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your 5-shot 38 isn't going to do that.
Yep. And I will definitely context, he was cranked up on something.
Yeah. But in fairness, most of the times that I've been like worried about another human being, they've been cranked up on something.
Yeah.
That's generally how it
Exactly.
happens. Like if they're going to attack an armed person, they're probably not in the right head.
That's what I was going to
No.
say. As it was being said earlier about how pretty much most people don't want to actually kill or harm another person.
Yeah.
That would extend to that when their brain is altered in an altered state.
Yes.
That can change it.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, there's ways to in the book goes over this. There's ways to program your brain out of those hesitations, or that like you can't really get rid of the trauma afterwards, but you can get rid of the hesitation before. Um, we won't get into it because one, it's bad listening, and two, I think it goes kind of against the message of this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah. We won't get into that whole rabbit hole.
No.
But yeah, like, drug crime is a huge thing. Like I'd never really dealt with like meth zombies or cranked up white trash or anything like that until pretty recently. Like it kind of came out of the blue a couple of years ago. Now it's fucking everywhere. So there is a pretty reasonable chance that if you have to unfortunately defend yourself, you're going to be taking shots on someone who cannot feel pain and is just going to keep going until. And I think that's something that people kind of have to be psychologically ready for. And like at the very least, your gear should be ready for it.
Yes. And that's another thing, like, I'm a very outspoken, like, I'm very pro Glock for a carry gun, almost to the point where I won't recommend anything other than some variation of a Glock 17 or a Glock 19.
Yeah. Or like other brands that are similar, like CZP-10 or VP9 or whatever.
Yeah, like vet your guns.
Yes.
That is such a huge thing. Vet what you carry. And
yes.
It's not 2010 anymore. There's no reason to be carrying some micro pistol as your main carry.
Yeah, like a car C9 or some shit. Like I see, and like I've been volunteering a lot more, teaching concealed carry courses and like doing stuff like ARC or whatever. But like the boomer concealed carry courses, holy shit, the bar is so low. So many of these people are like, pull out this gun that hasn't been fired in 30 years and has never been fired at something that's not like a can or maybe a bullseye target on like a flat indoor range, and like they'll do a 5-second draw and then do like one round at a time at a bullseye and then miss half of them. Like they'll aim for the A zone at like 7 yards and 2 rounds will actually connect somewhere on the paper. Like these people still do exist, but yeah, buy a fucking Glock.
I was gonna say though, at least like to their credit, they're going to classes.
Yes,
because you would have a lot of stubborn people, which not just applying to concealed carry, but if in the context of concealed carry, a lot of people just kind of I think go, I've got a gun, I've shot it a couple times, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like very complacent, very I already know how to shoot, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I remember there was white trash at just one of the shooting pits that I went to once, and I wasn't going. It was an hour drive. I wasn't going to let it ruin my day, so I just went to shoot like next to them. And one of them came over and he starts trying to talk to me about concealed carry, like he's in, good at it. And he looks at my like very overt, like 2 rifle mags, 2 pistol mags, medical belt, and he's like, "Well, you can't conceal anything in that. I don't know why you have it." And I shot a drill, and he walks back over to me and he asks if my Glock has a switch in it. It's like you're fucking stupid. And I honestly think like people like that are a lot of the various like random gun owning public. Again,
Yeah.
very, very, very against the idea of licensing mandatory classes, literally anything. But like, fuck me if the bar isn't really low.
It's concerningly low.
Yeah.
which
And I think that's a cultural problem as opposed to anything else.
hence why it should be cultured, telling people to do it and not being forced to do it.
Yes, I agree.
I was gonna say we've spoken a bit about like afterwards, what's good to have, what's good to do, all that kind of stuff. Do you have any tips for? Obviously, your situation was very forced into it, unfortunately. Would you have any tips for people to avoid those situations, or at least like increase their chances of not getting into that kind of situation, even if they're obvious?
One of the big things is you've got to be situationally aware. You got to have your head on a swivel. Like, you have to be aware every direction, up, down, left, right, behind you. I know it's really easy now with like a lot of modern wireless headphones to have them in.
Yeah.
If you do want to, I would say never have more than one in, and don't have it so loud that it's drowning out sound around you.
Yeah, especially if you live in like a fucking city or like a high crime area or something. Like,
Yep.
like the one time I got followed home by like a violent man was in small town Idaho. The guy was just strung out on drugs or something. It was just weird, but like it can't happen anywhere.
And another thing is learn how to de-escalate.
Yes,
The
like
best
suck up
solution
your
is
pride.
not to have. Yep.
Like
I'm not even talking about just sucking up your pride and running, if it comes to that, or just it's a wallet, it's credit cards, it's $100 of cash. That's not worth anyone's life.
Yeah, your life is not worth possessions that can be replaced.
Yeah.
But yeah, situational awareness as well. I think I'd say a lot of people also have too much of the assumption that they are just automatically safe for the whole thing of, well, it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah. Well, like, what if it does?
But it's like, well, if you're going to walk around with like headphones, like very obvious headphones on, listening to music, not looking around, looking at your phone, you become the target.
Yes, 100%. And like, I do think too, like a lot of like defensive gun uses, and this is anecdotally and statistically true. Like the police aren't even called. Like I know both times that I had to like use a gun. I never called the cops, and I wouldn't. Most of the people I know who had a similar incident, same thing. Like why bother? Like a lot of the time, the presence of a gun is going to de-escalate the situation, but it really has to get to that first. Like that should not be the first option. That should be the last option. If it comes out or if it's visible, you better be ready to fucking use it. And if you are ready to use it, you do have to be aware of like these are the psychological consequences. These are possibly the legal consequences. Know what's going to happen. But yeah, like if it's a choice between like canceling a couple of credit cards and giving someone $40 in cash versus like splattering them all over the road, probably going to give them $40 in cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another thing is don't make yourself look like a target.
Yes.
I'm not saying roll around in, full 5'11" tactical gear.
Oh, really? That's Tim Kennedy told me to do that.
Yeah, I took his sheepdog response class, and he said if as long as I use an FN with 511 pants, I'll be fine. I'll
I wonder if
scare
he's
them
paid
off
by
because
SIG.
I am the sheepdog.
Like a big thing is hoodies are, everyone wears a hoodie nowadays.
Hmm.
But if you're in, a situation where that chance of it might be, a big thing is don't have your hood up.
Yeah. Why do
Um,
you say that if you don't mind me asking?
Is that because of peripheral vision, or just because?
Partially peripheral vision, but it makes it a lot. It makes it look as if you're not paying attention.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Walk with purpose. Like I said, don't make yourself look like a target.
I've
And this
always.
isn't
Oh,
just
sorry.
like being a. This isn't just being like not looking like a fat schlub. It,
Yeah.
Like if you look like you're going somewhere with a purpose, you're good chance. I'm willing to bet there's a good chance you're going to be less of a target.
If you look like, yeah, just dazed out, don't really know what you're doing, they're gonna be like, oh, okay. I've always heard a bit of a mentality as well, which I don't know. You guys can give your thoughts on this. I've heard it's always better to be kind of a bit rude and then be incorrect than try to be nice and then you're not. And what I mean by that is like if you see someone and you think, wow, this person looks a bit sketchy, feel free to kind of like clearly either don't don't look at them or kind of like give them a look showing that you have purpose and that you're paying attention or something, and completely like make it obvious that you are avoiding them instead of
Yes.
just being like, oh, this guy looks kind of sketchy, but I'm not going to assume anything. I'm just going to walk right past him and
Yeah.
not
I'll,
really pay
I'll
attention.
fucking cross the street if I have to.
Yeah,
I'll
like
never
that
engage
kind of
with
thing.
road rage. Like I won't flip people off, back off. I'll try and avoid people. That being said, like if you're one of the like 3 to 5% of female listeners that listen to this, you probably deal with this a lot, and
Yeah.
there's not a lot you can do to really avoid it. So I'm sorry in advance. Carry a gun. You
I
may have
think
to
as
waste
well,
that one.
just put not even just the situational awareness, but just the situations you even put
Yeah.
yourself in where it's like, it's probably, and I'm not just saying for like female listeners, this applies to dudes as well. Like, don't go to a sketchy area in the middle of the night or something,
Yeah.
don't just be smart with where you go. If you have to go somewhere, of course, like yeah,
Yeah.
like if you're low on gas and you need to stop or something, like
Yeah.
yeah, but
I was going to
still,
say, like, I'm a fairly broad 180-pound dude. Like, I'm not like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not even like in pretty good shape, but like I'm enough that people generally leave me alone. And still, like a random tweaker tried to followed me home and tried to pick a fight with me because I looked over my shoulder at him. I am
hmm,
sure that's like women, some smaller people, like some the people will find reasons, and they don't really care if you are jacked or whatever. Some people just want to fight, and it could happen to anyone, and it could happen anywhere. But avoidance is the best. Like exactly what you're saying. Like don't put yourself in those situations.
yeah,
Yeah. No, and like it really is like if someone wants to commit violence against you, it doesn't matter if you're bigger than them.
Yes, 100%.
Because like the thing is, I'm even we're about the same height, but I'm a significant amount bigger than you,
Yeah,
and I still got into a situation where a 130-pound crack addict
yeah,
tried to
teenager.
start a fight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because some people don't think with their like they're not using their rational brain when they're doing this kind of thing. They're
no,
like, hey,
not at all.
when's my next
and
fix? When's whatever? Like, especially like mob mentality. One of my biggest fears is like getting ganged up on because that actually happened once when I was younger, back in my hometown. Like a gang of enterprising urban youths decided to try and beat the shit out of me. It didn't work very well, and they all ran away. But it was like 9 o'clock on a bus. Um, these things happen. They just happen. Happened out of nowhere. I made eye contact with one of them. Escalated
and
out of
that's
fucking that.
mhm. And that leads into another point I wanted to make
Yeah.
on like things that can help with these situations where you know a gun shouldn't be your first resort.
No,
if
fuck
it
no.
comes down to that.
Yes,
Should be
I
the absolute
agree.
last.
It's like, this isn't me saying go become a black belt in some martial art, but
Yeah. I do think like it would behoove people to like pick up jujitsu and some striking sport or something.
Yeah.
it definitely would. It. I hate to say this because I'm not a fan of the certain groups that use it, but honestly, if you're looking for a self defense martial art that will save your life and hopefully not end in someone dying, Krav Maga.
L'chaim.
The
No,
moment.
genuinely, as much as I hate to admit it, especially for like women, Krav Maga is a godsend for self defense.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
heard
once
about
it.
that and like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and a couple other things. So the big thing I always hear about Krav Maga, because I heard that a lot, is like vet your fucking instructor, because there's a
Yes.
lot more bullshit Krav Maga instructors than there are, you know. But I think it's just like there isn't really a governing body for most martial arts, and
No.
they're like, and I've seen a bit of the McDojo thing. Like I've seen a little bit of the like, but I've heard that's really bad in Krav Maga. But that being said, that doesn't write the entire martial art off. It just means you have to be really careful about who you find as an instructor and who you give money to.
I think as well, it comes kind of back to the similar thing of carrying a gun, where it's like just because I most likely will be able to win this fight does not mean I need to be able to, as you said, swallow your pride and your ego. Like if you're
Yes.
like, oh, this guy built, I
Yeah.
have a gun, I'm going to beat this guy in a fight, and I know martial arts. It's like, yes, but you don't need to.
Yeah.
And another thing too, like, this isn't even, you know, like, a lot of people I do know will just put a light on their gun and be fine with that. No, carry a very good uh, cloud defensive TM. Like, they make great lights, but they're not the only light. Get yourself a very good quality handheld flashlight.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Just shining a light in someone's face is an incredible deterrent.
Yeah, very bright light is going to
Like,
shine right in your
like I
eyeballs.
don't
It's not going to be a fun time.
like I don't have a cloud defensive or a Surefire. I have a beat up old Streamlight that I carry, and
Yeah. Likewise,
that thing is.
weirdly. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're okay. What I was saying is, I live at like in my. I'm not house people. I'm apartment people.
Yeah.
But we get a lot of, especially this time of year, we got a lot of crackheads wandering onto the property, and I usually take my dog out fairly late at night. That way, I can, no one else is out with their dogs, so I can let him off his leash and run. But
Yeah.
more often than not, there's a crackhead wandering through, and they're, tweaking out, and they want to get a little confrontational, and I'll just pull out my Streamlight if they starting to bow up like they want to fight or something.
Do you have
I'll
like the
just
ProTac that takes a single AAA or a double A?
I've got the 2LX, which is the two 123s or an 18650.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
So
I have a that's good to know. I carried the single double A one and it kind of sucked. So I've been looking for something. Like I carry right now a Woobin C3, which I love. Like I've carried it for like 5 years, and I use it like every night, and I charge it basically quarterly. The light's bright as fuck, 4 modes, etc. But I'm racist. I don't want to carry a Chinese light, so suggestions welcome. Like I love my cloud defensive, too big for me to carry. Carry it all the time in the woods. Don't really want to shove that shit in my pocket.
Yeah.
So that sounds like something
doesn't
that'd be up
look.
my alley.
Oh, sorry. It doesn't look as big. Um, I'm kind of like I kind of got the Jared from OTG. I've got pretty thick thighs, so I
Yeah.
usually tend to wear baggier pants.
Yes.
So it's a little bit easier for me to have a flashlight like that. But one of my long-standing addictions is I have a nicotine addiction, so I've always got either a can of Copenhagen or some pouches,
Yeah.
and that helps, because my clip off my light has been broken for years, so it just floats in my pocket, and that helps keep it readily accessible.
Yeah. No, that's probably a good idea. I keep mine like clipped to my pants, and it's bright as fuck. Like for a pocket light, it's not like a it's not a cloud defensive. It's not like a Surefire Turbo or anything like that. But it's bright as shit. But you're right. Like there's something about being blinded that is immediately like a conflict de-escalator for a lot of people. I mean, just like showing a gun to a lot of people will de-escalate the conflict. Nothing's ever 100%, but it seems to work a good amount of the time.
I mean, for me, the light over here is the only option, so that's why I carry a light, because I'm like, well,
yeah,
it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, and it's an animal that's going to kill me. It's going to kill me anyway, so at least I'll see what's eating me.
I mean, upside is, funnily enough, touching back on the martial art thing, like, even if you're not super comfortable carrying a gun everywhere, like, not pointing the finger at women, but a lot of women aren't. A number of self-defense things, if they actually focus, they're not McDojo, Tim Kennedy, Gecko training, IDF, Krav Maga, whatever bullshit, like a halfway decent instructor. There's actually a surprisingly high amount of things you can do with a flashlight in self-defense besides just blinding someone.
Yes. It is like a metal stick.
What's his name? The guy who like started Spider Co.
Tim Spider Co.
Yes, I love John Spider Co.
John Spider Co. is the best. He founded the Spider Co.
He saw a spider crawling on his wall.
It was him and Fred Benchmade.
Yeah. Back in the days of, Magpul Dynamics.
Yes.
He was pretty big too.
Travis Haley or Chris Costa or who? Or
the Travis Haley, the good stuff.
Yes, Mr. Haley himself. I grew up on those guys. Like, I want Chris Costa to come on this show. I met him at SHOT Show. He's just like a really nice, humble guy.
We can only do it if it's a live video episode. He has to do that same thing where he went to Japan and starts doing a bunch of poses.
Man, like, I can't even blame him. Like, chase that fucking bag, man.
No, they're not.
Oh yeah.
He should give us an action figure.
I was talking with Evan earlier, Mr. Snuffles, our Discord mod. I say, and also like he's
that
editing
sounds derogatory towards him.
It sounds derogatory, so I hate saying that. He's a peach. God, no, I lost it. We did a bit, and I can only have one bit in my head at a time, apparently.
Chris Costa.
To be fair,
yeah,
Mr. Snuffles is not shaped like your typical Discord mod.
No, he's a fantastic fella, and he's actually like pretty competent. What were we talking about? We had a call earlier.
Magpul Dynamics.
Yeah, Magpul Dynamics. Chris Costa. Oh yeah. Japanese people. He's like doing that for a crowd of autistic Japanese people. And we got into the conversation about like a lot of the whole like gun weeaboo or like gun otaku or whatever the fuck word is such a real thing there that that a bunch of guys would pay like $100 a ticket to go see Chris Costa do urban prone on a stage, and like absolutely jerk off to it, and then like write fanfics about the anime girl version of his 13.7 pin and welded rifle with the Surefire 952. Yeah, like the Japanese gun and military autism is so specific. It's like it's not like artillery incoming. It's like, oh well, we have a Hein 51.7B with like a 20 millimeter rotary cannon. I'm just pulling things out of my ass. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like they get so specific with their tism, and I think like they have successfully replaced their gun culture with gun nerd culture, and I find that hilarious.
It is.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Like, we kind of cut you off there.
Yeah, sorry. That's entirely on me.
You were talking about Spider Co. and then Magpul Dynamics.
He actually was one of those guys. Because, gun dude still, because he's in the space and he's a legend. I think his name is like something Warncliffe. But he taught a big thing, like using pressure points and using a flashlight just on like a joint
Yeah.
can completely de-escalate a situation. Just because it's a pain compliance thing. If you get into a scuffle and all you have is a flashlight, you can fuck someone up real fucking fast.
Yeah.
And it's not a super high barrier to entry for skill. Like there's a lot of things that you can do before you get to, having to use a gun. And that's one of the things that I wished with all my heart and all my being that I knew that many years ago.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because hindsight's 2020, and I look at it, and the fact of the matter is that kid didn't have to die that day.
I mean,
Mm.
it's like I think a big part of trauma is looking back on the situation and thinking about things you could have done differently. And like survivor's guilt is a really real thing. There's no two ways around it. But that being said, like
Yeah.
I think that there's enough tangible risk getting into a knife fight while you're unarmed, or like trying to talk a tweaker who's in the already has the contents of your pockets, and he's still trying to hurt or kill you or the people you're with. I'm not trying to vindicate you. I'm not trying to like glorify this, but nor am I trying to patronize you. But I do think that what you did wasn't wrong. If anything, I think it was like there was a
I
possibility you could have talked it down. There's a very real possibility you could have eaten a knife as well, or
Yeah.
like something terrible could have happened to your girlfriend at the time. Like you had already tried to de-escalate. You'd done everything right until that point, and yet it escalated anyways outside of your control.
you
I
pretty much
genuinely do not think that there's anything you could have done differently. And I'm saying that from the bottom of my heart. I'm not saying that to placate, patronize, or infantilize you. I think that any other decision that you made, other than the one that you made, would have been more risk to you than what actually happened.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I think I pretty much 100% agree with what you said. You already exhausted all the options.
Yeah, and like you could have tried other things, but that is valuable time. In which case, this guy is just thinking about other ways to hurt you, because clearly he wasn't just there to take the contents of your pockets. He was escalating further after he got everything that you could have reasonably done. There's a very real chance that if you, I am much happier with the Alaskan with survivor's guilt than the Alaskan that bled out in the side of a dusty street 10 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Um,
I genuinely like it. It sucks to hear that, I'm sure, but I stand by
It,
that.
it is, and that's something that me and my wife have talked about at length. Because we don't talk about it super often, but we do once in a while. And
Yeah,
my survivor's guilt says one thing, but my autistic monkey brain is saying, nope, that was the right thing, and the law vindicated me and
yeah,
exonerated me because there was enough people there and enough like security camera footage that it was it was very clearly a good and legal situation. And I'm fortunate that that state had reciprocity with Alaska's concealed handgun license.
yeah.
I think the added difficulty, possibly, and feel free to say that I'm completely wrong on this, but I think because it was someone that was so young, that would add on to the guilt, even though that wasn't your fault.
Yes.
Oh, it does. It
Um,
100% does.
I think it's definitely very upsetting in that way, but I don't think that, that's not you to blame. He unfortunately went down a path where it wasn't even a full adult yet, but he went down that path and he kind of
Yeah.
made his decisions with that.
Yeah.
And
A lot of
unfortunately,
it.
that's where it kind of made him end up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of his life decisions brought him to that street, and it wasn't you that ended that ticket for him. If it wasn't you, it would have been someone else.
Yeah.
And that is like the worst thing to say but I mean that as well. Like it's like that guy wasn't living through the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's to say that even if you weren't down that street, and even if it wasn't someone else, that he wouldn't die, drug related in the next week or something like that.
Yeah, or like mug the other wrong person, or like actually actively kill someone else, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like that guy had been down a bad path for a long time. It sounds like.
Yep, and that is the unfortunate truth of that. And at the end of the day, it came down to who wanted to live more.
Yeah, and I'm glad it was you, or
Yep.
like on the record.
Oh, I'm too. I'm glad too. I wouldn't have the wonderful family that I do today.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like it sucks. It really does, and I understand your guilt, but I do think that you handled everything as well as you could have, and like a like a loss of life is tragic naturally, but I don't think that like that kid was going to turn it around anytime soon. He might have, but from what I understand, uh, he was going to he escalated it long before you did. Like,
Yeah.
and there's a very real chance that both of you weren't walking away from that if you didn't do what you did.
If he was already down that path, he pretty much was lost for like a 99% chance. I'd say that he was already pretty lost on whatever, and he probably wasn't going to have too much time left anyway.
Yes, I agree.
But it's like I said, I wanted, and we've talked about this, and honestly, you guys have seen me kind of go back and forth on wanting to put this out here for this, because this is a rough subject to talk about.
No, of course.
Not just for me, but just in general, the realities of, it's one thing for a cop to do this or a soldier to do this. It is something else completely different as a civilian.
Yes.
And I wanted to put this out there because, like I said, so many of our young guys and girls in this space are just so, thanks to the internet, we're just so desensitized and detached from the reality of what this actually is.
Yeah. What it means to take another human life.
I think as well as it's something that I touched on a little earlier, or you all did, but it's not only desensitized, but it's actually thinking that being desensitized to death or something somehow makes you tough.
Yeah.
Like, no, that doesn't remotely
not.
make you tough.
Yeah, if anything, it just kind of makes me sad that's
Yeah.
a thing. It's like, I remember going to a friend's house, and she had this is years and years and years and years ago. She had a 14-year-old brother. We're watching, I think, like the first John Wick or something, near when it came out, and he goes like, "Oh, that's not what someone's head looks like when you shoot it." Like, what do you mean? He's like, "Oh, well, I saw this really cool video of an ISIS execution. You got shot in the head with a AK-47." Like, my guy, you are too young to be watching this shit, and I don't understand. Like, this is not a badge of honor to talk about how desensitized you are.
I think as well, it's important to note that is still very different seeing something through a screen.
Yes, 100%.
But I think people like to think, well, if I've seen it through a screen, then that kind of, I don't know, prepared or something. It's like, no.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It really is just so many of our young guys, thanks to the internet, spent their peak, neuroplasticity watching cartel executions.
Yeah.
Or Chinese people get eaten by industrial equipment.
Dude, I genuinely think like the next generation is so fucked. And I say that, like I'm sure every generation says that, but like you've got a generation of people like spend some of their formative years, locked up in a house in a lot of cases. Like, and then you have the internet that's like drip feeding them videos of people getting fucking murdered. That it can't be good. It can't be good.
No.
and it's so depressing seeing some of it now too with our current conflicts.
Yeah.
Like I know we all grew up, seeing plenty of the GWAT footage.
I tried to avoid it. I think like I've seen it. Don't get me wrong, but I saw very few videos. And like now that I'm a little older, I've seen more of them, but I never seek them out. Of just people getting fucking killed. Like I was in the military during peak GWAT, and we did see stuff. But like I avoided it because it fucking bums me out. I think that means I'm human or like I'm capable of some level of empathy, I guess. But like watching some fucking like some shepherd forced into combat, and like he may have been the worst person in the world. He may have been great. He may have been just like a poor dude who had the wrong ideals, who or the right ideals. Who knows? Who fucking cares? Who's like forced into the thing he didn't want to do, get absolutely murdered by the might of the American military. It's like no, this does not make me happy. This actually just kind of bums me out.
I'm stealing your term here, Nathan, but my mind jumps to two different things. And watch
Yes,
me forget what the second one is once I bring up one of them.
you're pulling
For
a
one,
Nathan.
it's like you guys all seen Generation Kill, of course.
Of course.
Yes.
The ending of that. Do you guys remember the ending
Yeah.
of that?
It's been a fucking minute.
They're all like going through watching like footage that they've recorded of them in war, and they slowly start leaving because they just kind of like realize building gets blown up, and they're like, oh, that kind of stuff, and then slowly, as it keeps going on, they kind of have a bit of a mindset like, why did we do this? What are we doing?
Yeah.
A bit of that. And then what was the second thing I was going to say? See, I told you I'd forget it. Generation Kill. Nope, I blanked out. But yeah, that kind of thing where it's like you get desensitized, but I think if you see enough, then you kind of just start being like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
No, it's like it's especially with our current conflicts, it's just made it so much worse too. Because like GWAT was horrible.
Yes. But now like
But like
everything's live streamed. It's like
it is
for weeks on my whole Instagram feed, and I do not like I purposely scroll by it. It was just like people talking about and then reposted that video of the Ukrainian and Russian soldiers getting in a knife fight. I'm like, this is just such a fucking waste.
I just
It's
remembered
such a
the
waste of
second
life.
thing that reminded me. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go on.
I was gonna say as well because you were talking about like how GWAT and like some shepherd or something, whether he was bad guy, good guy, whether he was told the wrong thing. I was thinking about, was it in World War I where it was they had that ceasefire during Christmas and both
Yes.
sides started
Yeah,
playing
they
soccer and
both
stuff,
went and played soccer and they didn't fight each other on Christmas.
and then they kind of didn't want to go back to fighting because they both kind of realized they were like, wait, I mean, we have kind of slight differences, but we've been told that you're like terrible monsters, and then the other side's been told you're terrible monsters, and both of us are just pretty much the same on most stuff. I think that can even apply to like with GWAT. There was a
Yeah,
lot of similarity. I mean, there's culture differences, but in terms of
yeah,
similarities, a lot of them were just like they were told Americans evil, and then the Americans were told like these guys are a bunch of terrorists and they did 9/11, blah blah blah.
yeah. And like,
well, I will say, to some extent,
Hmm.
working overseas in that part of the world, there's a lot more nuance than just dirt farmers.
oh, 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
So I
We've
spent
both
some,
been over in
yeah,
those countries.
like a lot of people will just point at like Iraq and be like, oh yeah, Arab dirt farmers. I spent a lot of time with Kurds,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and I will tell you right now, some of the most decent, kind, and upright people are the Kurds.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
And everyone just wants to label them as terrorist dirt farmers because people don't understand.
I think they want to do that because it comes back to the thing of not actually wanting to kill. If you have the thing of knowing like, oh, there's slight culture differences, but overall you're as you said like a decent person, then it's like, well, why why are we going and killing them, and why are they trying to kill us, and blah blah blah. You have to kind of like switch the mindset to make it acceptable in people's minds to want to go and kill. I'm not saying like full pacifism here or something like that. Like that's not. I think all of us disagree with that. But I'm saying like it comes back to the whole message of it should not be glorified.
Yes.
Unless it's someone who leaves trash in the woods.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, but we were talking about people. Those aren't
exactly. So there's people, and then there's those things, and
like
they are the
genuinely
trash that will get buried in the woods.
open season on white trash that
All
don't
year
trash
round,
or anyone.
open season.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I'm telling you, you don't necessarily have to get rid of them first down there. You can ship them up here. We've got plenty of megafauna left from like the Ice Age. They'll take care of it.
Based. Dude, I genuinely hate people who dump trash in public so fucking much. Genuinely, like, if I became fucking president of the universe, whatever.
President of the universe.
Yeah, president of the universe. With
I think God's got that job. Sorry, buddy.
But yeah, no. First degree, pants optional. Second degree, dog hats mandatory. Third degree is open season. Open season on people who dump like garbage in public. People who litter in general. No, summary execution. We're bringing crucifixion back. Like we are bringing crosses. We will nail them to there. Failing that, I will put a bounty on skulls, but there will be no tax. I don't know how.
You will be spread eagle.
Yes.
No, like I think crucifixion's too polite for them.
Yeah. What would you do?
I think do the Vlad Tepes.
Oh, like the fucking impaling.
Greased spike up the anus and out through the neck.
And then you just put them on it and you let gravity take care of the work over the course of like 24 hours.
Yes.
But they got to still be alive when you slip them on.
So where I go shoot, because I don't have, funnily enough, the ranges up here, despite as great as the state is, are pretty fuddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've sent you some stuff from guys I used to shoot with.
Yeah, you have. It looked pretty good.
That's an old coal mine that we go and shoot at. And every year, I unfortunately didn't make it this year, but every year there's a huge cleanup, and we've pulled just every year it's just an insane amount of garbage out of there.
Dude, genuinely, I fucking hate that. Like,
you would, if you ever come up to Alaska, do try and time it around when the cleanup is. It's usually early May.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm ever up there in early May, I could probably help a little bit getting folks out there. I kind of want to do another one out here. I keep on meaning to organize one, but none of the ranges that I go to have gotten that bad since we did the last one. But we'll probably figure out something.
Also, overall, can we get the opinions on Alaska?
Yeah, I'm curious. We're over 2 hours,
like
so we gotta wrap up.
Not talked about state.
Yeah,
kind of forgotten.
I know all about Alaska, other than what you told me.
It's both a lot of the memes are true and not true.
Elaborate.
So,
it's not snowing.
It is absolute. Yeah, it's not snowing 24/7. It is absolutely beautiful here, and it is insanely massive.
Yes.
So, like, BR, bleep out the specific city names, but I live in and the other, like, one of the other main cities. So I'm about 45 minutes away from Anchorage, which is the state's major city. From where I live to which is the next biggest city, it is about 360 miles.
Jesus.
And that's going from like a quarter of the way up the state north to south to half the way up the state north and south.
So it's a fucking drive to do literally anything.
Yeah. Like, I make that 45-minute drive every day for work.
Yeah.
But like, it's such an incredible state here. The culture, this is the outdoorsman state.
Yeah.
I love it here for so many reasons, but I'll also be honest, I hate this state.
Yeah.
So much. It is so
Why
expensive.
so, if you don't mind me asking?
It is unbelievably expensive to live here.
Yeah.
Because we have to get everything shipped up here pretty much.
Okay, that actually
from the
makes
lower
sense.
48. Housing costs are unreal.
Yeah.
So for usually about half an acre with like a 1,500 square foot house, you're looking $450,000 to $500,000
Ooh.
for what in any other state would be $150,000 to maybe $300,000 home.
Yeah.
But that also comes into another thing that we have to deal with here is our building codes are insane for how houses are built. Like, you'll look at something on the outside and be like, wow, that's a pretty big house. And you go inside and it's the opposite of like a Winchester house. It's tiny inside because of how thick all the walls are. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with like major earthquakes.
Not very.
Yeah, not my expertise.
In the 60s, Anchorage, Alaska was hit by I believe it was a 9.2.
Okay, I know at least enough to know that is
That
that is a big
that
earthquake.
actually, it didn't just cripple the state infrastructure, the roads in the city. We lost all our farmland.
Yeah, that would definitely.
The farmland that we had dropped 6 feet into the water level for the Cook Inlet, which is saltwater, and turned it all into a giant brackish swamp.
Ooh.
And this is back in the 60s, you said?
Yep. And fairly recently, 2018, we had a 7.2.
Ooh.
You're not having good
But
times in Alaska.
Here's the crazy thing about that 7.2. Because, believe it or not, Alaskans are very good at adapting to things.
I would definitely.
The reason why our houses are so heavily built nowadays.
Yeah.
When that 7.2 hit, it was right before that 6 that hit Taiwan. Do you remember seeing that in the news? And it was like 100 people dead, thousands of people injured, billions of dollars in damage.
Ooh.
We had a far stronger earthquake.
For reference, by the way, I actually looked it up. That Alaskan one, as far as I can find, that is the second biggest earthquake in history.
Yep. The one that we had in 2018, we had I think it was the roads collapsed in a couple spots. Not completely wiped out, just like got torn up.
Okay.
I think only one house collapsed.
That's impressive. Like, as weird as that is to say.
Yeah.
That we have to deal with earthquakes. We have to deal with, like, here's the thing. My wife had to learn this because she was from Tornado Alley. We get hurricane and tornado force winds all the time here. We just don't have the tornadoes or the hurricanes. Like, almost every year towards the end of winter. Last few years have been weird. We haven't, but we have winds that exceed 110 miles an hour.
Jeez. No, yeah, fuck that.
And here's the wild thing once again. I remember having windstorms like that as a kid growing up. school wasn't canceled. It was literally like tie your kid to something
I
heavy
was
and
gonna
send
say
him out
just
to
some
the
poor kid
bus.
getting blown away.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of like weather and other stuff here that does make it awful. Winter is so bad here. We have, if you look at it, I want to say it's Fort Wainwright, one of the big army bases.
Hmm.
They have like one of the worst suicide stats because of winter in Alaska, because it's just
Because of
dark
winter
and
depression.
bitterly cold.
Yeah.
Okay, slightly off topic, but still relating to that.
Yeah.
Interesting question. How with that bad winters, how do guns perform in such cold environments?
You'll find most of, at least with the guys I used to shoot with, most of us tend to prefer our rifles gassy.
Okay. Have you got any cold
Um,
weather tips for anyone that might have to deal with?
Cotton kills.
I meant for guns, but yes, cotton kills.
Layer up. Guns. Once you start getting below about 10 degrees, you're probably either going to want to honestly run your gun dry or graphite based dry lube.
Yeah,
Like,
I know Bear Arms, Bexar Bear or whatever, is putting out a ultra cold weather lubricant sometime soon, but I don't know when that's going
the,
to happen.
Isn't he in Washington?
I think he's in Texas.
Oh, okay. I was
uh,
way off.
yeah,
I
one
thought
of
he
the
was in Washington
funniest
for some
things.
reason. I don't know, but if we both came to the same conclusion, there's a reason.
Yeah. Here's something kind of funny of all the things that I've seen. This is sample size of one, so don't take this as gospel. The most boomer possible lube, Remington Dry Lube, works really good in winter
That's
on
really
my
fucking
guns.
It's brilliant.
But it's uh, another thing is, at least what I've found personally, ACOGs and scopes do tend to perform better when it gets cold because you don't have a battery, you have an edged reticle.
Yeah, I've had out here, and I'm in northern Idaho. It gets pretty cold. Definitely not Alaska cold, but it gets fucking cold. I red dot sky like motherfuckers during the winter.
I actually am willing to bet you probably might get colder than where I live.
Really?
How cold does it get for you? Like, what's the worst you get?
The like -10, -20. I don't know what
Yeah.
chill would make it, but like it doesn't happen
It's
for very
about the
much.
same.
We have a very short, like the brux of winter is very short.
So it gets about the same cold here.
Okay.
-15, -20, but
Yeah.
So it's probably
Like,
about the
it
same,
kills
just
fucking
much longer
red.
in duration.
oh yeah, our winters from like when it's you start hitting negatives like mid-December, and then it will run through until like February.
Yeah.
Like, it's still only, we're having kind of a crappy summer so far, but it's still only mid-50s to low 40s.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Do you get ticks up there? I fucking hate ticks.
No, we have the worst mosquitoes you will ever experience.
Really?
Worse than anything in the South.
I fucking hate mosquitoes. Well, take mosquitoes any day over ticks. I don't carry malaria here, so.
Yeah.
The skaters here.
Skeeters here.
Yeah,
That's
buddy.
a little bit of my inherited Southern from my old man.
You sissy liberal can't handle a couple of skaters.
Half the skaters here look like a fucking Chinook helicopter. I'll just pick you up and carry you away.
So if the wind won't do it, then the mosquitoes will.
Yeah.
Yep. We have something worse than Yellowstone bison. We have moose.
Oh yeah,
dude,
we
those
have
are
moose here. We have a
giant.
lot of moose here.
Oh, like, we've got gigantic fucking moose here. The other thing that we have, so we have all three kinds of bears,
Yeah.
and that can get fun. Funnily enough, all the memes about like, oh, if you invade America, this is what you'd have to deal with. And Alaska, it's like even the liberals have guns.
Yeah.
That's not a joke.
Yeah, it's out of necessity because of all the wildlife.
Yeah, you kind of need
It's
that when like half the fauna or the flora will fucking kill you. Fauna.
yeah. The
Yeah, the
funniest
floor is
thing is,
plants.
Yes.
despite bears and everything, the most common handgun in Alaska, unsurprisingly, is a Glock 20.
Yeah,
This
that
is
ain't
not
surprising.
surprising.
But it's like I do love this state. I love and hate this state.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
It's like every summer I'm just like, oh god, I love this state.
And then
But
winter
usually
comes
by
and you're
about
just like, I do
January, I'm
too.
just like, yeah.
I can't blame you. I
I mean,
I
we
grew up in
probably will
a
be
very
moving.
humid, cold place. So being in a
Ugh.
dry, cold place is actually really nice.
It's humid enough to be miserable, but not so humid that it's like
Humid winter's gay.
wet.
Kill humid winter.
We're right on a. If you look at a map of Alaska, you'll see where like the town where I live at.
Yeah.
It's
Which BR, you
I'm
better have
right on
censored that.
yeah. We're right on a pretty major like inlet.
Yeah.
So we have pretty mild summers. Other thing, I know a couple other guys who have come up here who didn't believe me. Alaska heat is some of the most brutal heat you will ever experience.
I believe that.
It's like usually it can get up to about 80 where I live in the summer, but that 80 feels like 120 because the sun isn't directly above you. It just goes low around the horizon all day.
Yeah.
So there's no shade, and the sun hates you and is trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, to any of the listeners
Great
that
gun
were planning
culture,
to
though.
move to Alaska, there's your potential either that sounds good or that sounds miserable.
Yes.
That's your
You
call,
haven't
mate.
really sold it to me, but I don't think you're trying.
Maybe
to
he's
You
keeping
are
the
actively
secret.
saying you
Idaho's
should-
actually terrible. No one moved there.
No one moved to Idaho. Property values are high
And
enough.
stay
as
out
is.
of Alaska.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are getting up to almost
Two
2 hours,
and a half.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
You obviously know what is standard coming to dad advice.
Yes.
Either actual dad advice because you are his father, which is
Yes. And
fantastic.
don't carry
Congrats.
horny critical defense does not count as dad advice.
So I'll give you two pieces. I'll give you real dad advice
Go
from an
for it.
actual father, and then Seaburn dad advice.
Yes.
Real dad advice: learn how to be patient.
Yeah.
Especially if you have kids, they don't understand.
Yeah.
You got to be patient with them. You have to be kind with them. I'm not saying soft parenting, but you can't treat your kids like an adult.
Kids are
Yeah.
kids.
They don't work that way.
You don't get upset.
Seaburn advice.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I was just gonna say you don't get
Go.
upset at a baby for pooping its diaper.
Yeah.
Now, if an adult does it,
Exactly.
you might, but patience. Anyway, sorry.
And then Seaburn dad advice, vet your gear that you carry with you every day. Carry medical gear. That's a huge thing.
Yeah. I agree. That is a good thing that's good advice.
And there's no shame in running away. That's another thing. Don't be so proud that you get yourself fucked up.
Yeah.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Oh wait, fuck. Am I doing it too?
You need to give some dad advice.
Ah, fuck.
It's a round
fuck.
table.
Oh, jeez.
Kill people that litter.
Don't have like 80 different brands of ammo. Just fucking buy one. Know your hold with it. Know your zero, whatever. I mean, like, don't just buy one, but like, don't have like 80. Don't have like a box of like Winchester M855 and then like a box of like Winchester M193, then a box of PMC 193. It's like, remember, zeros will shift through grams of ammunition, like even 55 grains, like my Hornady Frontier and my PMC and my PMC 855 and all of my ammo, like is like they pattern very differently. Like it'll be like 2 inches up, 3 inches right, which extrapolates. Okay, that's going to be 4 inches up and 6 inches right at 200 or whatever the fuck the physics happens. Standardize one, get good at it, or standardize two, get good at it. Just know what you're doing. Don't have the smorgasbord. I saw someone with that today, and it was annoying. It was very annoying. Don't do that.
Very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all. I'm not going to get too autistic on ammo.
I was like, I need to go, Nathan. I think that. Oh wait, I need to give dad advice. As Alaskan said earlier in the episode, have a community. Find a community where you can have people that you can rely on when you might need support, even if it's as intense as a situation as that we've gone over, or just even little things. Just have a community.
Yes.
My obvious recommendation would be a church, but even just being involved in your local community in general is just good. All right.
One more thing. Get a nice watch. It opens doors for you.
Thank you very much for coming on and talking to us, Alaskan. We really appreciate it, especially for sharing such a intense thing.
Yeah, I know you want to stay anonymous for this, probably for good reason.
Actually, you know what? I kind of thought about it more. No, it's not active very much, and it's mostly just pictures of me going shooting. And if you stalk on my family, I will send recon after you. If you know who that is.
Yes, his little Patreon app is coming very soon. Probably it'll be up by the time this goes up.
If I'm on Instagram at Cryptid Slayer _actual. But yeah, not very active. And if you have some questions, I might or might not answer, depending on what you ask.
Send him ammo autism. He loves that. He fucking loves that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna argue with you and tell you that PMC X-Tac is the best.
Yes. This is a PMC X-Tac supremacist household. Okay. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you for being on for 2.5 hours. Thanks for listening to Art and War. I appreciate you. Al, if you can see us off.
Okay, bye.